She's wearing an old dress, walking it out, waiting for someone to turn her around. But she won't believe you when you fall down on your knees. She fell asleep, listening to my friends, talking on and on about how the world ends.
Well, I was gonna surf, but it's like 12-foot sets rolling in here at Seaside, and I don't want to die, plus my foot feels slightly broken. So I'm just watching it and enjoying, and maybe I'll find a place with smaller waves, but it's really pretty regardless.
Do you wanna take my broken heart? Are you scared to start? Let's lay in the dead grass, stare at the stars. Run away, you live out of cars and bars. Let's just leave here, 'cause there's nothing left to see. And if that's wrong, let's make it right. And if you leave, just give me one more night. 'Cause there's no one that you'll find that's quite like me. And she said, don't you wait to try it. Are you scared to find it? And do you wanna take my broken heart? Are you scared to start? You don't need a paycheck, don't need the rent. You can't take it all, 'cause it's already spent. We can burn out just as long as we burn bright.
What do you think about all this, Brian?
It's pretty cool.
Don't you wait to try it. Are you scared to find it? And do you wanna take my broken heart? And will you ever heal from all these scars? And did you ever take it all so far? Are you scared to start?
Look at the lake. It looks so good. Just kidding. Oh my goodness gracious. Whiskey and I had a long day in the car. I drove from Seattle, where my cousin's wedding was, and we're back in Oregon, which I think I'm totally falling in love with Oregon. And I also got to see the Crater Lake National Park, which was unreal. It literally looked like straight out of a calendar right in my face. But we are hiking down because I think there's a river at this campsite. It's BLM land, but I have some service, so hopefully works tomorrow. And yeah, I've just been having a good time. I really enjoyed my last couple days off. I got to do a hike called Rattlesnake Ledge in Washington, and I got to see the city and some family, and it was really good. And now we're back on the road. I literally want to stay in Oregon forever. It's so perfect. Like, it has surf, mountains, it smells like pine trees, and it's not freezing. It's like California, but cheaper. Like, the gas is like $2 cheaper. So, I am stoked, to say the least.
You don't need a paycheck, don't need the rent. You can't take it all, 'cause it's already spent. We can burn out just as long as we burn bright. And she said, don't you wait to try it. Are you scared to find it? And do you wanna take my broken heart? And will you ever
I love being on the road. First of all, because it's beautiful and I see amazing sights and I can work in awesome places like this. But also because it gets me out of the normal routine. Like this weekend, I was with my cousins and it was very much like, oh, let's go out to eat, go on a hike, go do this, family hangout, which is great. I love it. But I notice myself getting back into normal routines of things that are just a routine and not even what I want to do. Like when I'm on the road, if I get hungry, I eat. But if I'm in a social setting or at my house with my family, and someone makes food, I eat, even if I'm not hungry. So that's just like a small example of something that I should be using my intuition for, which is what being in a place like this out on the road allows me to do, because I just like break all sense of normal routine and get to really be in touch with where I'm at and how I'm feeling. And that allows me, when I see other people, to kind of bring that perspective into play in our conversations. I feel like I'm more aware of what's going on and what God's telling me and what the universe is presenting me, versus when I'm just doing A, B, C, D, E, F, G, wake up A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and there's not really like, I don't know, it's harder for me to take the time to just tune in to what I'm hearing, feeling, and seeing versus this, because I'm like away from it all. Like the other night I stayed at a campground and I had no service, which was bad for work, but good for me because I got to just really be there. And when I get in that mindset of fully experiencing where I'm at, I'm more able to bring that perspective into family time or conversations with strangers or just anywhere I go and everywhere I go. So I really like breaking the normal mindset, because I feel like we've almost built this world just full of distractions. And you might say, well, distractions from what? In my eyes, it's distraction from the connection with the silence and the connection with God and the universe inside of us, that we are just a conduit of, that we are just I don't have a word for it, presence of. When I'm out here in the woods, almost by myself, got some fellow campers, but away from the normal roads and stores and conveniences and distractions, I realize how important it is for us to just be okay with being in silence, not instantly put on something entertaining on TV after working all day, sleeping but not actually resting. And it almost seems like everything we've built in this world is a distraction from this. It's like, oh, you work all day, every day. You need a break from it. So you go on vacation, which is filled with excursions and drinking and watching movies and constant conversations with people, which in and of itself, those things aren't necessarily bad. None of it's bad. But how often do you take time to be in silence? Because that really just changes everything in life for me. Like complete silence, and not just getting lost in all these whirlwinds of thoughts, but just feeling and being where you are. Kind of like a meditation, but You don't have to call it that. You could go on a hike and just not talk and enjoy the scenery. When I see like the trees and the birds in this setting, just surrounded by the beauty and silence, makes me want to be one of them. Just away from the craziness of city life, of normal life, or what we've created to be normal life. And not that you should be alone in the woods forever, because I probably would if I thought that was what my life was. And I am out here for the majority of the time, but what I learn, I want to take that perspective back to people. Because I love talking to people and meeting people, and that's one of the best parts of this trip. Find time for silence. Tune in to the universe and God and truth inside of you. I wrote something last night that I want to share. And it's a little deep, but I'm always trying to change things around me. I'm like, okay, let me minimize my possessions more. Get rid of this, get rid of this. Oh, but I do need a jacket, so I'll go buy a jacket. And if I had a bigger water tank, that would just change everything. And if I do this and do that, and it's like I'm trying to piece together the puzzle of my life, but I'm doing it outside of me. When in reality, all I have to do is be with and change what's inside of me. Not that I'm necessarily trying to change anything, but my goal is to be more connected to the love that I have from God and the universe. And that's not out there, that's in here, because I am a conduit of God. I am His presence being made known in the earth and in this world. So the perspective that I see, what I see around me, comes from what's inside of me. You'll see it in a lot of Bible verses. A lot of Bible verses. The one that popped in my mind right now is that it's not what goes into the body that defiles you, but what comes out of it. And the temple, of course, is not something that we build outside of ourselves. We are the temple. So instead of trying to change what's around me, I'm getting in tune with and changing what's inside of me. And I've already seen how much of a change it really makes. Like, it's crazy. So if you think about Jesus and His life on earth, He only saw good. That's all He saw, was perfection and the good of the Father. And because He saw that, because that was His perspective and consciousness that He was living with, His world, His view of the world, caused people to get healed, because He was on that state of consciousness where everyone was healed. He brought Lazarus back from the dead, because in Him there was no death. And so when He died, He came back from the dead, because in His consciousness, you can't die. That's why I think He says, let the dead bury the dead. And when he called his disciples, he had them leave the state of consciousness that they were currently living in. So what's your perspective look like? I believe everything we see is illusion. And the reality behind it is it's all the presence and truth of God and the universe and that which is life inside of us, just being shown to us in this finite realm. And when you see it like that, it changes it. So yeah. And no one can have the perspective that you have. How you see the earth and the world isn't how your brother or mom or best friend or husband or wife see the world. So don't try and judge other people because they might be seeing different things than you are. We can't judge what we see. Because when we do that, we're breaking the first commandment, that you shall have no other gods before me. Which means everything. Everything is God. If you have fear, you just believed in something else. If you depend on something outside of the God inside of you and the truth inside of you, you just made an idol, a false idol. But when we see that it is all God and it is all good, because God is good, your life will change because your perspective gets changed. And it comes from inside of you. You literally can't depend or put your trust in anything outside of you. Because God is not outside of you. But when you see it that way, everything outside of you is God. And that's what I've been learning lately. And so that shows me that when I have something tough come up, like a challenge, or maybe something irritates me, I'm starting to be more grateful for that, instead of instantly try and push it away and change it. Because I get to see why it's getting stuck. Why do I have a problem with that? When I get to the root of it, it disappears. God says we'll never be tempted past our ability of what we can overcome. And the more that we become aware of God inside of us, of everything being one, the universe just gets to guide you through life in this beautiful way. And bad things don't wreck your life as much as maybe they have. And the good things get sweeter. So find the lesson in the challenges and be aware of the truth in them. And remind yourself that everything you're seeing and facing is just an illusion. And everyone and everything that you come in contact with is the presence of God being shown to you. It's almost like you're looking in a mirror. If someone comes along and you get upset at them for how they view themselves or how they complain all the time, it's just a reflection of what is going on inside of you. The more you're just here in silence, that's where you meet the universe and love and truth and God. And that's when all this becomes real. Because your consciousness, your state of consciousness and your awareness just unfold. And it's a beautiful form of growth that comes from the inside. Amen.